You
Sure
are
can.
live.
We
Hello, Liz.
are. Mm,
Welcome to Sensitive Empath.
yes, perfect. There we are. And go ahead and add the Zoom link there too. Okay, just want to lower down the volume in case, so that way I could see the comments as they come in. Perfect. Okay, I like to get this ready too. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. It is 8:30, right at the dot. We are starting our day one of the Sensitive Empath. And I'm really excited about this little 4-day course that we have going on because January, it was based on a lot of clients, a lot of sharing from, clients and also healers about how there was just so much trauma coming up. And I really liked how now at the beginning of the healers roundtable, my spiritual guides were telling me what courses to do. And then in December, they were like, you will know what you need to do from now on. And so January was really based on the input and everything we were feeling from clients and um, other healers about how they were talking about trauma. And then February, it was self-love. And again, a lot of people have been talking about that, having self-love and taking care of yourself. We've all forgotten, we've all been so busy trying to take care of many others instead of ourselves. So we focused on working on ourselves. And then it was very unique because then right after that, I started getting a lot of calls and a lot of questionings about what it is to be an empath or how can I balance this, and I'm overwhelmed and I'm feeling all these things and I don't know how to deal with it. And so this course is based again on clients that have been really asking us a lot of questions and wondering how can they be more balanced or how can they stop feeling so overwhelmed, and you know a lot of help questions. And being a sensitive empath, yes, it can be overwhelming, but there's a lot that you can learn from it. I call it as a way to evolve at a high speed. And you know how when you go to college and you take your normal semesters, and then all of a sudden colleges started doing this fast track course in between semesters if you wanted to get ahead, where the whole month of January you could take it, you could do so many units in a month, and so it's like that. It's like when you're trying to get ahead in your education, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm a sensitive empath, let's speed this up now. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're taking a very fast course, a crash course on an experience or a lesson or a teaching that you need to learn to evolve in. And yes, very high speed, as Patty says. And so, what is an empath? Okay, I am a natural empath where I think there's different kinds. I could sense the minute I touch my clients. If they're having a headache, I will feel the headache. If they're nauseous, I will feel nauseous. If they have pain in certain areas of their body, I will feel pain in the same areas. And at the beginning, when I didn't really understand what was happening, it was almost like I felt like I was going crazy. Like, why am I feeling all these things? What's going on? Why am I sensitive? And what's funny is a lot of family would be like, why are you so sensitive? You're so sensitive. And it was funny because now I understand that they probably saw me going cuckoo and wondering what is wrong with this girl. But it's because I was really feeling everything and becoming overwhelmed. And of course, onto others, you look like you're probably going a little crazy. but it's really you're feeling like what in this picture, you're feeling the weight of the world. Everything that's going on, we're all connected. I know you guys have probably seen like the cell phone commercials where it shows everyone is connected now. That's really the life of an empath. we This whole new cell phone journey, like, oh, we're all connected, that's old news. As an empath, we've already been doing that for years. We didn't need a cell phone to connect us. But yes, it's one of those, that's what an empath is. So you're going to be very sensitive of feelings, of sensations, of, you really feel like sometimes you're carrying the weight of the world, but you don't have to. And that's what we're going to teach everyone here. You have a choice, you have a way to balance it, you have a way of really protecting yourself. And so, yes, there's many tools out there. I've heard people like, oh, I have this crystal for this, and or I wear this necklace for this kind of protection, or I have my feathers, or I have my, and that's great. Those are great tools. But the best tool you could depend on is yourself. So learn to work with yourself first. And yes, all these wonderful tools that are accessible for us are wonderful as an extra, an add-on. But you yourself is the main one that you really need to work on every day to make sure that this does not become overwhelming, that doesn't, you don't feel vulnerable, um, you don't carry this weight. So learning how to really work with yourself is what we're going to be teaching here on
And,
this day one.
and just a reminder, we always share with our clients, your body is like a map. And those who know maps, usually there's three different norths. The map north, magnetic north, and true north, which then we translate it to mental, emotional, physical. Allow your body to be your map and guide you. And as you check in mentally, emotionally, physically, to kind of address how to deal with being an empath or this awareness of these sensations around you. And a quick story for myself, being raised a Catholic, again, like I said, I have nothing against the religion or what it's meant to teach us for those who choose that path or as a higher belief. I strongly mentally believe that I was responsible for everyone else's wrongdoing. So for the longest time, my earth on my shoulder was carrying all the guilt and shame that the people around me were so going against what we're taught, until me personally, I made that shift to say walk away from religion, which then allowed me to have much more healthier awareness of people's energy, emotions, and what they bring to the world, at least in my world, as we cross paths, and tied into carrying this so-called burden. So allow your body to be your map or guidance and use your mental, emotional, physical navigation system to kind of address this. So that's going to be the basis of how we're going to be guiding you as we guide most of our clients.
Okay. So with that, I just want to introduce ourselves again. My name is Rebecca and my husband JB, and together we form Dual Dragons. You want to take the rest?
Yes, we're holistic wellness consultants, also known as the Must Word Whisperer. So we are trained in many different modalities, which then will bring in to consult our clients. If you have any questions, you could reach out via email or check out our website or text or call that number that you see on the screen. So
And take advantage. We've had a lot of participants. Feel free to email us or text us to this number. We do offer free 30-minute consultations via Zoom. So if you have any questions or you just need some guidance in any area, whether it be physical, like we said, physical, emotional, mental, we can coach you through it, through the Zoom. We could do like a little body scan to help you find that balance that you need within and work with you until you could, when you feel comfortable. Because of COVID, a lot of people are not comfortable yet, coming in contact. We can do sessions via Zoom. So feel free to do that. And then So this is a topic for today. We're going to be talking about developing protection. And like I said, there's many tools out there that help protect us, but today we're really going to focus on how we use ourself as that main tool in developing protection. And I put some bullet points here. So first is setting boundaries. You'll hear this a lot, and I'm pretty sure this is not something new to many, but setting boundaries is very, very important. And sometimes we kind of get this like feeling of, well, they really need me, and let me just be there for them. And then you keep giving and giving and giving to the point where you feel depleted, and then all of a sudden your boundaries have been overstepped, and then you feel like, wow, this person's really depending on me, and now I'm becoming overwhelmed. It's really, really important to set boundaries. Like we just said, we have 30-minute consultations. We will not, unless we are prepared to go beyond 30 minutes, we will. But if not, we stay within 30 minutes because that's a setting a boundary. We will work with this person for 30 minutes and then we need to detach. That's setting a boundary. Also, when we do our body work with clients, it's very easy to be like, oh, let me just help. Let me just give this person 10 more minutes, 20 more minutes, 30 more minutes. But now you depleted the purpose. When we work on people, we have set times to work with them because it's a way to set a boundary. I'm going to focus on this person from 8 to 10, and that's it. And then I have to cut the cords to give myself an opportunity to recharge, re-energize myself. And then staying grounded through the process is also very important. There's many ways to stay grounded. You could do visualization of your feet, just going deep into the soil and to the core and just attaching yourself to the earth. Because when we do a lot of the emotional, spiritual, energetic work, it's very easy to drift off. It almost feels like you go into like a la la land. It's a very dreamlike state, but you're awake. And so it's very easy to kind of lose yourself in that, or what we call, what do you call it, JB? You went into the rabbit's hole or something like that?
Correct.
Mm,
Another amazing healer, like when people say the spiritual stuff, they said, "Are you talking about that woohoo stuff?" And she defined it best where woohoo are for the people that are disconnected to one or the other, either too much in spirit up there or too much here on earth. That disbalance or disconnect.
yes. Yeah. So it's like I said, staying grounded is very important because you will be going from one end to the other, but you have to stay in between. And then detach from emotional attachments. It's very easy. Like I said, when we work on clients, it's very easy when I touch them. I get this rush of emotions. I had an experience with when I was in school. I was learning advanced neuromuscular therapy, and I was in school. And I remember we had to work on the teachers so they could feel our touch. Well, when I went to the teacher and when we were working on the sternum, I went straight to his heart. And I remember I had to back off right away because I could just feel all this anger and frustration. And I jumped back, and he looked at me strange. And I said, I need you to take a couple of breaths and release that energy from your heart. You're very angry. You're very upset. I understand what you probably might be going through, but I need you to calm down for me to be able to work on you because that's not helping me. And his eyes just went like wide open, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, there's no need to apologize. We have the right to feel the way we feel. But when it comes to this work, it's very important to ground yourself, to kind of like make yourself aware, like, okay, I'm going through these emotions, but now I need to bring it down. And so once I gave him a couple minutes to breathe, and then he's like, okay, I'm ready. And when then I was able to work on him without being overwhelmed with his emotions. So it's very important to detach. Like what I said, the minute I touched him, I just bounced back off, and I was like, nope, that's too much for me to handle right now. You got, like I said, that's my boundary. I have my boundary set. I'm making sure I'm grounded. And then the minute I felt those strong emotions that were very overpowering, I detached. And then learn to walk away from overwhelming situations. There will be moments when it's too much. It's too much for you to deal with, and you need to learn how to respect your gut instinct when to walk away. If everything in your body is screaming, I'm not ready for this, it's for a reason, you know. So it's very important to learn to walk away from certain situations. You don't have to deal with everything that is presented to you at that moment. You got to learn how to, again, the boundary. And it's very important to take time to be alone. you know um, that's one thing that I've learned with time, that when I have my alone time, it's the best time for me to be able to recharge, re-energize, meditate, kind of take some self notes, like what is really mine, what is really mine that I need to deal with to grow and evolve from this, because that's what it's really about, learning how to evolve and grow from everything that is presented to you. And then create an energy field and bubble. This one I love to do. And I put this picture precisely because this is what I have to do every day. When I go outside, if I go to the store, if I'm going to work, if I am a very sensitive empath. And JB can tell you, when he's driving and I'm in the passenger seat, and if I didn't build this bubble around me, he'll see me all of a sudden jumping from my seat, like, because I could feel people's energy as they're, like, especially the road rage people. I really tense up and I just kind of go like this because I could just feel them, like, woof, and then all of a sudden you'll just hear the car pass by us, like blazing, and it's like I could just feel that energy, that it's too much. And then he's really good at saying, it's okay, you got this, you're okay, you're fine. So again, creating this energy field, the way I do it is I envision myself as a butterfly, and I just have to build this cocoon around me for protection. And so that's what I focus on, developing this beautiful white light around me like a cocoon. And always, you could do this in a way where you could sit right before you're going to go. And I do this a lot. And what's I appreciate from my Catholic upbringing, I'm pretty sure a lot of Catholics will understand, but before we would go on any trip, before we would take off driving, my mom would always turn around and say in Spanish, persínanse. And it was a form of developing a protection. So that was my first lesson on how to protect myself. So I don't necessarily do that. The minute I get in the car, I take a moment to sit and I develop my protection, and I'm like, and I do a little prayer, like, help me, guide me to get to my destination safely, and that's what I have to do, because like I said, I'm a very sensitive empath, and being aware of that is very important, and especially developing these tools for yourself to be able to go out and do your daily things and not feel overwhelmed and a little like, oh my goodness, this is too much.
Definitely, like my story growing up, I wasn't really taught or understood how to set healthy boundaries. So as I began to really tap into my spiritual or healing gifts, as like I'll do anything as late as possible or early possible. Like I had no boundaries to say, whether it's like time. grounding myself, I was like too in tuned into the person and not so much to my higher self or here, which then sometimes, even though I did great work, would scare off the person because again, the next step, I wasn't really sure or did properly detach emotionally, which then, of course, I never learned to walk away. So certain behaviors were taught based on your life. And it's kind of like gardening. It's something you have to tend to every day, self-maintenance, self-healing, practicing, developing a protection behavior. And even time to take alone. Like I felt so lonely growing up that I always put myself into situations where I was never alone. So kind of learning or unlearning certain behaviors or patterns that we grew up with, especially being a very sensitive empath, like because I was taught, if you put up a wall, then not only are you protected from the stuff outside, but you wouldn't be able to see the potential on the outside. But what is a healthy boundary? What is a healthy energy field? And through time, say, I'm not sure if you watched the movie, one of those Avenger movies where they had this shield up, but only the nice people were able to walk through the shield or the force field, while the enemy had to really fight against this energy field until they broke through. So the idea is as you practice developing your protection every day, setting what's a healthy boundary for you, staying grounded, learning how to detach emotionally, learning when to walk away for overwhelming situation or asking for a moment, even if you have to just take a 2 minute walk and then come back to work on a client or engage in a conversation or take that time alone to create the energy field. You kind of like always evolve and update it. Okay, allow only healthy energy in, allow only good energy in, and just kind of keep on developing that bubble of force field to really allow you to be present and do what you're meant here to do, learn to grow, to experience life.
Okay, and with that, I want to now hand over the microphone to Cece and get some more divine spiritual guidance, just like it says in her title, and just kind of get her story and background on ways that you could develop protection. Because like I said, there's many tools out there that you could add on, but I really want this course to be about how you can work with yourself. And so with that, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'll put this screen back on after Cece is done speaking, but I'm just gonna stop share. There we go, perfect. And Cece, okay, there we go. Go ahead, Cece.
Good morning. Thank you so much, JB. Thank you, Rebecca. That was such a beautiful, beautiful talk. I love the graphic about with the bubble. And would it be okay if you put that up for a second?
Sure.
That's so cool. Because that's exactly what I wanted to share. And it's a great, great example. So as you know, so I'm Cece Converse, a psychic intuitive, and the sensitive empath is like my favorite person to work with. But we all have this energy field, and human beings, objects, everything is alive with energy. And we have this beautiful energy ball around us. And that is what we're talking about when they say strengthen your energy field. And so this is an electromagnetic energy field. And when there's actually 3 layers to it, there's the 3-foot layer, a 9-foot layer, and about a 50-foot layer. And they all kind of go in and out, just like a flower opens and closes on a daily basis. But that outer field, when you encounter another person, you actually sort of blip into each other's field. And that's when you pick up energies. And we each have that responsibility, like Rebecca had said, to make sure that we stand in our own energy field, our own power. And I always say, ask, is this me? Do I own this emotion? Do I own this pain? Is it my pain or is it somebody else's pain? So for the first couple of minutes this morning, when I was on, I was getting this tightness in my throat, and I had to say, is this mine or is this something else? So I would say either I'm picking up around here, or because I'm connected with all of you, is there someone that has like some irritation in their throat or um, their airway. So I always have to ask that of myself: is this mine or is it something else? And if it's something else, I don't take responsibility for it, right? And the responsibility is on you then to not absorb that. Does that make sense? So, you're in this body and you have this energy field. It's a given. And so keeping that aura strong and that energy field strong is your responsibility. So, things like getting good sleep, and we all have the 3 a.m. club. Does anybody wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning? I do. That's the time when the guides are really talking to you and you're receiving information. Every morning I wake up around 3 o'clock in the morning and I just sit there for 10 or 15 minutes and just chatter with them and get all sorts of information. So when you are feeling vulnerable, when you're feeling emotional, or you're feeling very sensitive, the first thing I do is I put my energy out to about 9 feet and I do what I call spiritual Windex. I look at where I might have some dark spots on my aura field and I spray it and I wipe it, and and I just turn all the way around energetically, and just send energy out to that field. And then I'll put a mirror up around myself, around that energy field, right? And there's nothing that let's see, how do I do this? That which is in my highest good may enter, otherwise not. So it's always that which is in my highest good and the good energies. So it's a beautiful thing when you can do that. I remember one day I was working in the corporate world. I was working actually at Pac Bell at the time. And I put up an energy field in my cube because we had cubes so we could see everybody else. And no one except 2 people could enter my cube that day. And I was like, oh, hey, this works. So you can do that at work. You can do that while you're driving. You can do that, like Rebecca was saying, that she could feel the negative energies of the people driving by and that had road rage. Just put a bubble of white light energy around yourself and your car. So no matter where you are, walk down the street with a big energy, bubble around yourself. So you are responsible for you. So let's see, daily grounding exercises. It's who meditates every day? Anybody? Yeah. It's like food for your soul. Like 15 minutes minimum in the morning, 15 in the evening at least. And that gives yourself, over time, it really boosts up your energetic aura field. And I was really surprised. The more that I meditate, the more my energy field is strong. And I have my students coming back to me going, I can't believe this. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have believed this, but I was able to do the energy field just in a second, and I could see people actually walking around me. That's pretty cool. So when you do this regularly, so doing visualization for yourself, especially for what you want to bring into your life, being out in nature is wonderfully cleansing, and it's great for strengthening the aura field. Because when you're connected with nature, the trees and the plants and the animals are all feeding you as well as you're feeding them. And was it Rebecca that had that beautiful cycle of grounding with a tree graphic up on your site? And it's like, that's exactly so. And you can go up and just lean yourself against a tree and feel the tree just enveloping you with its energy. Man, you can just so restore your energy. So it's a beautiful grounding exercise to do that. They don't call them tree huggers for nothing. And I'm one of them. So another visualization you can do to protect and to cleanse your aura field is the water light. It's a visualization of like a waterfall, but it's a waterfall of light and multicolors of light. And you just sit in meditation and just imagine this waterfall of light flowing over you and then in through your crown chakra, filling your head and your neck all the way down to your toes and flowing through you all the way down to the middle of Mother Earth. And then bringing back up again, and now you're the fountain. And so you just keep on doing this, allowing both to come in and flow, and that will cleanse your aura field very quickly. And you can do that in a really quick second if you need that at any time during the day. So one of the things that is really, really clear is that each of us is incredibly resilient. And there really is so much to say about the power that we carry. Like each of us is a divine being, having this physical experience here. And we've been taught to decrease our divinity and be this physical being without connection. So the deepest message that I can give anybody is that you are a divine being and you're capable of amazing, amazing things, more than you can even imagine. So one of the things we can do is we can cut cords. So if you have old relationships, if you're separating from friends or family or a relationship, or you've got a work situation every day that is challenging. If you sit in meditation for a few minutes and just imagine you're sitting in a theater where there's really high ceiling, sit at the very back and see that person or that situation on the stage like it's teeny tiny, right? And between you and them are these big, like, scissors. And you take back your power and you give back the power that you took from that situation or person. And then when you're ready, see the scissors coming down, cutting the cords and them easily kind of furling back to them and you. And you can do this anytime, any place. Just close your eyes and imagine that. It's a beautiful exercise to do. And I cut cords for people all the time, those that can't seem to do them. So, that's something that I can do. So once you cut the cords, just hold yourself. Put your hand on your chest and on your solar plexus and hold yourself and seal those areas. Yeah. And as you do that, you are then, with your hands, you're actually recycling your energy, right, in your body and sealing those areas up. And once you feel them solid, and then you can remove your hands and be thankful to yourself for healing yourself. So gratitude goes a long way, especially to our own selves. So
We have a question.
Great, awesome.
How young can you teach children this? I have 4 children and they feel like they would all benefit ages from 5 to 10.
Yeah, and anytime. You know how creative children are. And you can teach them how people can, situations and people can come and sort of attach to you. It's actually a natural thing that happens all the time. And it's necessary for families and things like that, especially. But you can teach them, just teach them to sort of like break it and let it go. Does that make sense? And that's great for if they are being bullied, or teach them to stand in their power, to bring in a column of light and just surround them in light. That's very energetic for them to pull in light.
Rebecca, can you share your story, how you're teaching Luna some of these tools?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
My daughter is very a sensitive empath also, and um, when her father and I divorced, she really took on his energy. And I remember one day she came home really very sad, very upset, and she was so angry, and she says, "I need to take this anger away from daddy." And that's another important thing, teaching your children to not take on your energy as parents. That is very, very important. And that was a lesson I learned.
Yes.
And I told her right away, this is not yours to take. You are not responsible of your father's emotions. You are not responsible of my emotions. Amo, you know that stay out of my business. I'm going to tell you that right now. Stay out of our business. That is our business to deal with, not yours. And she was like very sad, but I think I feel like I need to do this, Mom. Like, no, you don't. And so I gave her the analogy. Imagine when mommy goes to work and she helps all these people, and mommy connects with all these people. Imagine if I brought home all their emotions and everything they were feeling. Amo, how would I be as a mommy to you? And she just lay quiet and she goes, you wouldn't be a good mommy. Amo, exactly. I would not be a good mommy to you. So you have to do the same. You cannot take this stuff because then you're not being good to you. It's not fair. When you could make analogies for them to be able to understand that abstract of being an empath, it's in a logical way for children to kind of like, oh, okay, I get it now. This is not mine to take. Then you're helping them in such a way to deal with the world, because a lot of our children, they are so sensitive. They take on not only everyone else's energy, but you're as parents, because they're so attached and bonded to you. That's where they really take on the most. So it's very important as parents to remember this, that a lot of when they're acting up, when they say it's your responsibility as a parent to, help them during this time, it is your responsibility to help them understand that they need to detach from you, detach from your energy, because it's not healthy. They need to learn to set their own boundaries as the child parent relationship. It's very important. So yeah, I'm glad that Veronica, you asked that question. That was really, really good. It's very important to teach this to our children, because this is why our children are so overwhelmed most of the time. It's because of that.
And just very quick, we use a tool that's referenced to these personality cards, which we'll probably share in our private session a little more about.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love those cards. Those are great. Great, great. So, yeah, when I was a child, I would wander away from my mom and dad, and I would walk up to somebody and I would either grab their pant leg or their skirt or their hand. And most people would just look down at me like, who is that? And I would freak my parents out, but I was being guided by what I imagined. I would always see this bird on my shoulder, and it would fly out and tell me who to go talk to or who to go stand by. And so I would go do that. I would just follow that. And and the comments that the people made when my mother came to get me or my dad came to get me was like, she made me feel so good. And I am very much a sensitive empath. And that followed me throughout my whole life. I would just go sit next to people just to, they would tell me to go sit over here, over there in my classes or in, a seminar or something like that. So it's very interesting. I think each of us have our own special way that we respond, react, or act as natural as an empath or as a sensitive. So I wanted to add on about after the cutting cords is you can fill yourself with light, white light, pink light, blue light. They're very soothing colors, especially if you've cut cords or if you've cleansed your aura field. So another action you can take as an empath, and especially if you tend to do this naturally and you're empathic, you probably need to do it more, and that is alone time. I call it my cave time. So if you can schedule it every day so you have alone time for yourself, whatever that looks like for you. And then when you get overwhelmed or when you need it, take that time, even if it's 5 minutes, to walk down the hall to the bathroom, walk outside, walk around, just breathe in nature, do whatever you need to be alone so you can be away from the chattering energy or the static energy that starts to build, when you're in with people. Not many of us are in with people very often these days yet. However, you still, when you live in an apartment like I do, you can feel the other people and what they're doing, literally. So, and learn to speak up for what you need. If you're challenged with getting up from your work or the family, and they're going, where are you going? It's like, I need 5 minutes to myself, right? But take that 5 minutes. Give yourself the permission to do that. It's a part of loving yourself and taking care of yourself because you're responsible for you. So alone time gives you the opportunity to recharge your energy, especially if you're giving it out. Yeah.
Can you expand on, for those who probably recognize, I did cut the cord, I removed them from my contact, but then you get that call or a text from that person you cut the cord from.
JB, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. That's so true. because people everybody can feel things, especially if it's an old lover, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, family member. When you cut those cords, especially the ones that you were really tight with, you will get a text or a phone call or a reach out from them at some point in time. And it's your responsibility to not respond, respond with what you need to say and keep that cord cut. Because when you start engaging with that person again or that situation, the cords lock again. And you have to cut those cords all over again. So many a time I've had, a woman call me and she goes, oh, I'm broken up with my boyfriend. I need a cord cutting. And so we cut the cords. And then she texts me an hour later. He called me and I'm like, did you engage? Yes. Okay. Call me back. We're going to do this again. So but we tend to do that, or we'll go drive by their house. Are they home? You've just engaged again. Right. Or you sit like, oh, I wish they were in my life. You just courted yourself again. So, so we are responsible for what we think about, right? And how we feel. And if we, especially with an ex, right? And we say, oh, I want that back, right? And it's like, you really can't have anything back. You can have something anew. So it's about you because you're in a different energy right in this moment than you were 5 minutes ago, right? So when you cut those cords, it's about holding yourself in that new light, in that as that new person that doesn't have that energy. Now, the universe abhors a vacuum. When you release that energy, it's like if you took a handful of rice out of the bag, all that rice is going to fill in, isn't it? You throw that handful of rice again, and then the spot where you just pulled it out is all full. And so that's an example of how something's going to come in to fill that space that you just cut the cord around. And so when you cut that cord, use that pink light, white light, blue light, and just from the inside out, push your energy into the area, into the solar plexus or the belly or the heart area. So you fill that imagined area where the cord was with light. And that way that cord won't like float back into connection again. You might not, that may help you not think about them again or the situation. So, and I mean, I can go deeper into that at another time. You just, message me. I'd be happy to talk about it more. So, but that's a really good point. Are there any other questions, JB?
Yeah, I noticed that someone said challenging in a divorce. And yes, that could be challenging,
Mhm,
but there are ways to develop
mhm, mhm,
a different kind of cord,
mhm.
especially if there's children involved.
Right,
You're going to have a relationship with that person no matter what.
exactly.
So a way that I developed is JB's pointing them out right now. So learning to communicate in a very positive, successful way with your ex spouse, the father of your children or the mother of your children, vice versa. That is the key. And it is your responsibility to do that, no matter how hard it is, no matter how long it takes. There will be light at the end of the of that path, at the and I'm just sharing from experience, at the beginning it was tough, there was a lot of emotions running high, and that's normal. Everyone is entitled for their emotions. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It is, and so it does affect the children. It affects you. It affects the ex, and you really need to you need to step away again, detach, and be more compassionate. Look from the outside in and figure out a way to give that compassion to that person. Like, this person is going to be in my life for the rest of my life because of our child. So you have to learn to develop a new kind of relationship of respect, love, and compassion towards each other. And once you're able to succeed in that, it develops into a beautiful relationship where now I could work on my ex, my current husband and I, we did a session with my ex-husband. He needed the help and he was so grateful. And from that, we've been able to develop a new relationship, a different kind of unit. Like, yes, we're not, it's the way I imagine it, it's like my husband and I are one aura. So JB and I are together in this unit. And my daughter is part of that unit, but she's also a part of my ex-husband's unit. So she shares a different kind of, little circles. So imagine all these little circles just kind of orbiting and attaching when needed. So yes, when it comes to that kind of family dynamic where it's multiple families or, divorce, new families, it's more of a juggling act, but you can do it, is what I'm saying. It is possible. There is a way to manage it, and there is a way to make it into a loving unit where all of them can come in and out without disrupting the beautiful space that you have developed. So I just wanted to share that. And then someone said, I've observed for many years that my energy causes glitches in computers or anything electronic. Sometimes, but not all the time, when I'm around electronics, things stop working. I walk away and they start to work. What is this about?
Oh my gosh, that's something that I experienced so much because I worked in the computer world for like 15 years, and and when I was really practicing energy, like with Reiki or intuitive energy medicine and some of those other modalities, when I was doing that at night, and I would come in the morning, and I would go to touch my computer, right, and I would feel this energy field. I would stop, like it was so different, this electronics. And so and I started thinking like, okay, so I need to like meld my energy with it. So I started like, I feel with my fingers really keenly. So I would put my hand towards my computer as I'm doing right now, and I feel the energy field. It feels like like a balloon or a bubble that doesn't pop, right? And then you can let it sort of flow your hands into that and then it sort of put your energy into that slowly, right? Instead of walking in, boop, turn my computer on, all of a sudden it crashes. You're going, what? What just happened? So that's also sort of a part of being responsible for your own energy, right? It's just like when you walk in a room, you want your energy field to be contained and not like all out there, like when we go to parties, it's like we want our energy all out there, have a good time, right? But being responsible for your energy field is having it contained and not filling the room until after you come in and you find your space, right? And that way you're not, flowing over everybody else's energy. And then that's when you're doing that and you're not recharging yourself at the same time, you're going to be really drained when you go home. So
yeah, I can speak.
yeah.
I can speak on that too. And that's why I don't wear watches. I always kill them.
Me too.
I cannot wear watches. I always kill them, and I'll change the battery, and then a few seconds later, it's dead again.
That's so funny.
I'm like, I guess that's a sign I shouldn't wear a watch.
And those who are watching, just a reminder, you have to work mentally, emotionally, physically. It just,
Yes.
this conversation reminded me of a story. A few people share similar stories where they had this strong hatred for, say, a former president, and they happened to be at an event where that president came or former president came through, and he was ready to punch him in the face. But as the president's energy field was starting to come into him, he just started liking that person. He shook his hand, was in awe, and once he left that person's energy field, he was fist clenching, ready to punch him again. And it was just dawning. And I hear it from a couple of different people that had similar situations. So mentally, emotionally, physically, you have to address your energy, your field, because it could vibrate. And that's where filling up the room could make a difference in the sense of you not really, I'm going to be a healer, put my hands on you, let me focus this energy, but just be healing for yourself and watch your ripple effect affect the others. Like Cece's story, she just sat there. She really intentionally worked. She just sat there in her happy energy, following her guides or that whisper, that intuitional gut feeling. Those people were feeling better. It does work your mindset, the way you think, your emotion, the way you let your emotion energy flow physically, going for a walk, eating much healthier, what your body desires. Again, healthy is kind of a loose term. You got to listen to what your body desires. It might be hamburger that might be healthy for your body, or it could be a salad. And again, the more you learn to work with intuitive work, you might be guided. For us, we've been not really responding to meat too well, so we've been heavily more of a vegetable, fruit, and every once in a while we'll get some meat, but it doesn't really sit well as before. We're working to listen to our body being an amazing map, and we're defining what those labels are versus a general statement that other healers are, that work for them. But we're discovering our map, this label or this sensation means this to us. So we're conscious of what we eat or who we work with, or this means this for us.
That's a good point, JB and Rebecca both, and it brings up another subject, and that is number one, we were talking about that we're responsible for our energy, and number two, that feeling of wanting to punch somebody out is actually coming from you, not from them, even though they may be upsetting you. The trigger's inside of you. So then the next question is, how do you deal with that, right? And you deal with that by getting counseling, by getting coaching, by getting body work. A lot of great body work and energy work will help reduce the charge that's inside of your body. But we sort of have these wounds or charges. I look at them as like when you take a match, right, and you strike it on the sidewalk, one of those strikeable matches, and then you put it to another match, it just blows up, right? And so what I look at this is that when we receive, perceive, or feel energy from outside of us that is aligned with that trigger we have, right? Aligned with that match. It comes in, it goes, and it just blows up. And all of a sudden we get this raise up of energy and we're upset about something. And we're like, you said that, and that pisses me off, or whatever it is, right? It's actually, they may have said that, but what got pissed off is it hit that space inside of you that's unhealed, that needs assistance, right? We all have it. It's not good, it's not bad. We just have it, right? And it's, we look outside and say, that did it, and that did it, and you did it, and that dog did it, or the sky did it, whatever, right? And yet we get upset, right? And a lot of those wounds are covering up what our passion and our purpose is, which is really important to help to heal that wound, because then it has us now take a stand for whatever that is. For me, it was about child abuse. I take a deep stand for child abuse, against child abuse, excuse me, and for any kind of physical abuse on the body by anybody for anything.
Maybe you can elaborate more on this, CC. There's that famous saying by a public speaker, but I'm not sure if he's the original. You are a sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
And then, so when you cut the cord or learn the aspect of cutting the cord of being, say, the victim or abused, what did that open up? Like, what relationships that you started recognizing? People like yourself that started standing against it and build a community or network. Can you kind of share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, well, we all have these things inside of us. However, so once you start realizing, oh, this was about, this situation I had in my life, and there's other people that have this, but it gives you that wisdom. Once you heal it and you start to integrate it and you get the wisdom around it, you now can help other people that have had similar situations. Is that what you're asking about, JB?
Correct. Like when we're starting, like myself, detached from certain relationships.
Yeah.
Healers like yourself stepped in and we actually started developing more of a network, even though we're at it for 2 years. We thought, me and Rebecca, we just got to do it alone. It's us against the world kind of thing. But then we cut those thoughts and then physically went out and really put ourselves out there and emotionally be open to receiving. We started flowing with people like Patty, like you, and other healers that we welcome to this platform to share their story, to help have their message share with those that are just coming to hear to listen, whether they're learning from themselves or to be a better healer or just to be some. And there's something shared by a few guests. Thank you. Makes sense why I scare people off. My energy is too much into their energy field.
I do that.
Another one, people are a mirror of our own emotions and struggles, and we always want to blame others instead of confronting our own selves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's true, when we're really intense, we tend to scare people off, right?
Especially those who are not ready to kind of own the energy to that capacity that we are.
Right. So this is how we sort of learn to sort of like how much, how little, where can I move? How can I be in this situation where I am able to be with my friends, right? And then I can choose whether I want to be there or not. Does this resonate with me now? Right? Yeah, I mean, I'm a Scorpio too. I'm a quadruple Scorpio. So I had to learn how to meet my Yeah, meet my energy. So that I hold my energy back at situations, or then I can really put it out there when I really want to make a point. I can actually stand on my platform and make that point with no question whatsoever. Right. So it's about learning about how to speak and how to understand where you're coming from at any one point and what your client or your audience wants. So you can just regulate how things, acting classes can teach you, improv classes can teach you how to do that, which I highly recommend for anybody who's having trouble understanding their energy, because you're going to learn it really quickly doing something like that. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. So we started talking about, like, how are you when other people are around? And people are mirrors to you in ways. So, and sometimes a duck is a duck, that it just is. But when you get triggered, something touched that little fire point that you have inside of you. So do you feel challenged? Do you feel so much you can't stay with that situation? Keep asking yourself, is this mine or is this Memorex? Those of us of a certain age will understand Memorex, but but is it mine? Do I own this? Right? If I don't own this, I don't take responsibility. I really highly recommend that we don't take responsibility for that energy, because it's not yours to own. That's how drama gets started, by the way. Right? I think I need to get into somebody else's business about what's going on with them and what they just said. Right? Drama. Exactly, Patty. So, that stuff in the long run, is it really going to matter? Ask yourself, right? Ask yourself, what is it that is pushing me towards opening my mouth to say what I'm going to say? Because I know it's going to cause all sorts of stuff out there, right? So, noticing when people are actually taking your energy, right? They're pulling things out of you, and you're going, oh, well, okay, now I understand. And then you can regulate what you say and how you say it, right? And a lot of people will, because they're so curious about things, they will take some of that energy of you. And what's really great is when they're in integrity, they're going to come back and go, thank you for this. This is what I received from you yesterday. Thank you. Right? And that's the exchange. That's a beautiful exchange of energy and integrity. Right? The other thing that we sensitives do is we tolerate a whole lot of stuff, because we don't have those boundaries that we've been talking about, those sacred boundaries. So we tolerate, and as we tolerate things, we train them. A lot of times we train our kids to take advantage of stuff because we're tolerating what they're doing and how they're being. Or we're tolerating, like a friend of ours that is sort of always this way, and I don't like it, and so I tolerate it, instead of saying, let's make a new agreement about this. Right? So a lot of that's coming up these days about the state of our country, right? Boundaries. Let's get together, but let's not talk about that stuff, right? So that's a really good example of setting a boundary, right? You make a request, you get a counter offer, you make another offer, right? Until you come to like a beautiful agreement. And sometimes you agree not to agree, and that's okay too, right? But it's a two-way conversation, or many-way conversation, depending on what situation you're in. So, so the other thing too is to withdraw your energy from anything that is not serving you. Right. So if you're in a situation and you feel like you can't get out of that situation, reach out for help, definitely. Right. Get some body work, get some counseling, get some coaching, whatever it is that you need, so that you're not tolerating, because it doesn't feel good inside, especially for a sensitive empath. Right. So there's a whole lot of other tools Like, you know, you can pick up a hematite crystal or a tourmaline to help you to ground and to release some energies. I have a list I can post later on of those crystals that I recommend. But most of all, your responsibility and who you are and how you offer your energy and to whom is the most important thing. Does it serve you in the long run? Does it serve you in the moment? Right? And why does it serve you? What is it going to do to serve you in this moment? Right? So always ask those questions about what it is that I'm doing and what do I get out of it and what are they getting out of it? And is it going to serve the whole for the good? And so the last thing that I'll say is like, I always say, is this in my highest and best good? And then in addition, is it in the highest and best good of all that I do this, be this, say this, act this way, etc. So are there any questions?
Yes, looks like we have Bara with her hands up. Bara, would you please join us?
Yeah. Trying to turn my camera on. Hi, Cece.
Hi.
See you
Nice
again.
to see you again. Yeah.
And the rest of you. Thanks a lot for this presentation in this space. I've got a question. I'm interested in your opinion, Cece, on because I've heard conflicting things from different people talking about like, especially if you're connecting to your guides or higher power or whatever you want to call it, if you need to like close yourself back up afterwards. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, like because I can kind of feel this energetic opening, but it doesn't make sense to me that I would have to like close that because it's like that's a good entity, right? Or those are good entities. So part of me is like, I want to leave this open because I want them to feel invited if in this afternoon I should turn left when I was planning to turn right, that I can receive that. But some people will say that opens you up and it's too much energy. So I'm really curious what you think about it.
So I think, so the first thing that I'll say is that it's really personal how people talk about energy. And I'll just talk about it as an energetic entity. Okay. So when we work with those, and specifically work with those with entities, angels, guides, masters of light, right, the elementals, I always put up a protective shield around the space within which I'm working, right? So if I'm working, and I would imagine that Rebecca and JB do the same thing every day when they're working on somebody, and you put up an energetic field around the space, and then when the person comes in, right? So it's the same thing. It's like when you're going to work with somebody or something, you sort of put up your protection, right, and then work with them consciously. Now, the example you gave was, I want to be able to receive the message, you know, if they're going to help protect me from something that I'm not aware of. And that's happened to me a lot. And from the perspective of keeping our aura clean and clear, I can see how people can say, just close that back up if they believe that it opens the aura field. Okay. And I don't see it that way personally. And it's probably because I've been working with them as long as I can remember, you know, from when I was yay high to whatever, you know. So it's a responsibility on our part to close or I want to, the wording is really important here, to turn off the flow of that energy when you're not working with that specific angel guide. Your guides are going to be with you no matter what. You're going to get the information no matter what. And I think that's really what I want to say, is that if you, our English language is so limiting at this point, if you understand what I'm saying, because the flow is always there. And we're energetically sitting in each other's energy as a group here on Zoom is 10 and however many are on Facebook, which I can't see. So energetically, we've created a group, like an auric field around all of us that are in this place. And other people are going to come in, right? And so do we close that off, that they can't come in energetically? You see what I'm saying? So they're going to walk in, just like your guides are going to always be there. Like if you can imagine, your guides sort of sit in your field anyway. So they're going to be the mediator of any messages that are going to come in from the outside anyway, right? But if you've consciously opened something to work with a specific master of light, let's say, right? So Saint Germain, right? And Saint Germain's energy is flowing in, and you can feel it. And it's thank you very much. We'll connect again, and you close it, right? Now, he's still there. Saint Germain, it's still there, however you want to call it, right? Saint Germain is still there. The energy is still there. You can still feel that energy, right? But we open doors and we close doors, right? We open windows, we close windows. So from that metaphoric state, that languaging works really well. And now let me say something else about that. We are responsible for our energy field, right? If we walk around the world going, I'm connected to all the angels and all the masters of light and the fairies and the elves and all of the beings and oh, everything is bliss, and it's like that kind of an energy is challenging in our society, right? Unless you're a mystic and that's what you do, right? So we're responsible for our energy. We can be connected to all of the angels, all the masters of light, fairies, the elves, all the beings of light, and be that connected and regulate our energy when we're out in the world. And when we get home, it's like, hey guys, how are you? I'm back. So I'm telling this story because I had to learn how to do that. Like I would walk into my favorite psychic's house, and she says, I've looked out the window and I saw you and your whole entourage coming. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like this is before I actually knew what she was talking about. I'm like, I don't get it. This was like, I don't want to even tell you how long ago. It's like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And she's like, when you walk in, all the angels, all the animals, all the, everybody's there, I'm like, whoo, I don't understand. So, and that's when I started to learn that I needed to regulate my energy.
And thank you so much for that. How do we bring it back in? Like at the end of my meditation this morning, I felt very connected, and I feel kind of like a bit of a glow. Like I don't think I'm taking over the whole world, even though that was part of my like visualization for like a loving kindness. But I do feel like I'm expanding a bit beyond myself right now, which I didn't think was a bad thing. But now I'm worried that maybe it is.
So what's your question specifically again?
So like at the end, like right now, I feel like, I don't know, maybe out to like here is my energy field, or like a little bit bigger. Is that okay? Or should I be bringing it in, and how do I collapse it down?
Well, so I'll go backwards. So you can imagine, like I can imagine my aura field of surrounding this whole building, right? And if I really feel it, I can feel everybody else. And that's sort of like spying on them. So that's not a good thing. So I'm going to bring my aura field back in, right? So just imagine the bubble kind of, expanding, like, when you're blowing up a balloon, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And then as you're letting the air out of the balloon, imagine it getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it's like, about 3 feet around you. So naturally, you're going to have a 3-foot aura, a 9-foot aura, and about a 50-foot aura, no matter what. That's just you. right? It's just like, so I'm a big woman. So a thin woman's going to have this size, big woman's going to have this size, right? It is just so, right? And it's always going to be that way, right? And people are going to feel your energy, from about the 50-foot outside world when you walk into a room, right? Have you ever been, like my door is back behind me. Have you ever been like concentrating, you feel somebody walk in, you turn around and go, oh, nobody's here, right? Right? Or somebody standing at the door and didn't say a word and you felt it and you turned around and said, hey, Julie, how you doing? Right? Or even you could just say it right from the desk and hi. So you're going to feel that energy anyway. It's sort of like you can't not, if you're a sensitive empath, feel that stuff. And actually everybody's going to feel it in some way, shape, or form. Right? So we sort of carry an energy at the edge of our aura field, right? And some say it's our rising sign. So in other words, people are going to feel my Scorpio-ness before they even see me, my happy energy, right? They're going to feel, if they're sensitive to Scorpio, they're going to go, well, I'm not talking to her. And that's happened. So turning on and off that energy, I would say consciously, when you're finished with your meditation, just intend your aura fields is going to come back to normal. Right? If you don't have to go out any place, live in your big aura. Enjoy that energy. Let it feed your projects. That manifestation will occur, right? So many of us just walk in and out of the house, go to the grocery store no matter what our aura looks like. So, yeah. But you're responsible for the impact, right? So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I already feel like I brought it in a little bit because I have this Zoom call to go on and I was like, I don't want to like mess with all these people's things. Yeah, thank you
well,
so
just know that your aura is going to be present no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. And that now that's not to say there's not ways that you can just completely collapse your aura, because you can, but that's something for,
Yeah.
So yeah. So any other questions?
Thank you, Patty. I know Patty's like, I have a client.
Oh, bye, Patty.
Tomorrow, Patty.
Love you.
With that, I wanted to share when JB and I started working together. Mm-hmm. He could firsthand tell you, like, he was just like this, like what you were saying. He would walk in and he'd be like, yeah, let's play with all these energies and I'm gonna do this. And he would like, it was like a toddler walking in a room full of toys and being like, toys. And
yeah.
And I would walk in and I'd be like, oh no. Because I'm very different, and so it's learning, especially for JB and I working together, learning to set those ground rules and boundaries as a couple, and I remember at first, second, third time, by the third time I was all like, okay, we need to have a talk. Because I'm not that kind of person. When it comes to my personal energy work, I know how intense I can be. Mm-hmm. And so I had to explain to him, like, I cannot have you going gung-ho on all these people, because the minute you bring me into that energy field, it's an explosion, Mm-hmm. And so I had to tell him, like, you have to respect the way I come in. And I understand, and so that's what we would do. Wherever we would go, he would go off as a social butterfly and fly around. Meanwhile, I just stay perched in my little area and wait until I'm ready. Okay, I've sensed everyone's energy. Now I know who I'm ready to engage with. Now I know intuitively where I need to go. Mm-hmm. I have like this whole processing plan that I need to do before I step into any room or any space.
Mhm.
Where he's very different, where he could just kind of go and fly around and come back with no problems.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
everyone's, like Cece said, it's very hard to say this is what you need to do, because everyone's responsible with of their energy in their own way that best suits you.
Yeah.
You made that suit, you know how to put it on and take it off, what's best for you, you know? And so it's just like wardrobe. Everyone has their own style, everyone wears their special clothing their way. And if someone comes in and tells you, oh no, you're supposed to put it on this way, it's not going to feel right to you. So remember, it's really about what feels right to you. You
Mhm.
know? So
One of the stories that if I can share just one more quick story is when I was much younger, and I was, my favorite psychic friend would tell me, your whole entourage comes with you. My life as what we would call a medium right now would be like my house would be full. I'd walk out and the yards would be full, right, of these spirits. And I had to make an agreement with my guides and whatever else, because I didn't know what was going to help to regulate this, but to like, look, I'll work with you, but just don't freak me out, right? No nighttime stuff, right? Just let me be able to have my sleep time, but I will agree to work with you, right? So I tell people, like in the movie Ghost, Whoopi Goldberg's character, when she was in the closet and all of them were coming in and chattering, wanting to talk to the client. It's like, that was my world,
mhm.
right? And when I was a kid, I didn't know what to do with that. It freaked me out. I would run away from them, right? And I got used to them after time, right? But when the new ones would show up and I didn't know, like they're not human looking, right? That would freak me out. So and I grew up with that. That was my daily experience. They would show up out of the blue and I'd be running away from them. But making an agreement that I'm willing to work with you. However, this is what I need. It's just like setting boundaries with any person or situation. It's like, I'm willing to, or I'm not willing to work with this or that. Right. And that's my boundary. So it's a no for me right now. Right. Or it's a full yes. Right. Or it's a maybe. I need to think about it. And then the agreement is, I'll get back to you tomorrow, the next, whenever it is. And you get back with it's yes or no. Right. The more we waffle around things, the more we leave ourselves, here's the words again, we leave ourselves open for people to take advantage of us and take that energy out of my field. Wait, I want that back. It's mine. You can't have it. Right. But doing it in respectful of each people's situation or person, right? Because we are all, most of us are here are nurturers, right? So I'm a very high nurture. So and just basically the bottom line is loving yourself. The more you love yourself, the more everyone else is taken care of. Because you're full. You're filling your cup first, or putting on that mask first that drops down in the airplane metaphor. And you can be available then to other people to the extent that you are offering yourself or that you want to be. But speaking up, right? Yes, I will do this. No, I can't do that. No, I won't do that. I'll never do that. Whatever it is, right? So
Talking about speaking up, any of the last participants are still here? Do you have any questions before we wrap it up?
thank you.
Yeah, we will be wrapping it up soon. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and then.
Not comfortable with the camera, go ahead and type it in the chat box and we'll ask it for you.
And while you're doing that, I'll just say that I'm going to be teaching an angel class at the end of March. And it's for a 6-week class and learning about 12 of the major archangels. And I'm also starting a new session of my Kabbalah class, which is where you learn about yourself as a divine being and learn how to be centered, learn how to be energetic, learn how to regulate your energy, and learn how you connect to the universe and others in the deepest way.
That's perfect. So that's for the end of the month, Cece, you said?
They're both going to start. One's going to start the end of the month. The angel class will probably be the last week in March, and the Kabbalah class, or the Tree of Life class, it's the universal Kabbalah, so it's non-dogmatic, and it'll start the first week in April.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Feel
yeah.
free to put that information on our page. So,
Oh, thank you.
because I'm pretty sure you're a moderator on our group page, so you can post.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah, feel
appreciate
free to
that.
post that. Because yeah, any course, anything we could learn more, that's what this page is about.
Thank you.
Being able to learn from each other and
Yeah,
and evolve together as a group, to transition and shift the best way we can, to navigate our souls through this time right now. That just feels a little weird, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
Yep. And regarding that is I'm inviting everybody to just live your life as if you would want it to live it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Bara.
thanks,
And
Mara. Good to see you. So
yes, I know everyone's like, yes, please post that. So I'll make sure to check your moderator so you could post.
The
I will
crystal.
do that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
So
And then also go ahead and post someone had written here to the list that they would really like that list of the crystals.
awesome. I'll do that too.
Mhm.
I'll do that too. So I know we didn't get to the 4 cards.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. Oh yeah, we could do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, the 4 cards JB was showing, um, those are called the bank cards. And the reason they're called bank cards is because it stands for the acronym of each card. So B is for blueprint, and then A is for action, N is for nurturing, and K is for knowledge. So it stands for BANK, bank. And that is just the acronym for each of them, which is blueprint, action, nurture, knowledge. And the way we work with these cards is we always give them to our clients and we ask them to put them in the order of most like them to least like them. And when they do that, it helps us to be able to communicate with this person much more successfully. And it's a great tool to have when you want to make sure you're communicating in a way where they feel that you're respecting their values, their personality, and you have much more of a successful communication. And when it comes to, having that clientele feel that they're getting what they came for, because they're being heard and they're being also, treated in their value system. And so, like, we've said before, whenever we have a blueprint client, I make sure to let them know step by step what we're doing, why we're doing it, what, because they're all about strategy and process and rules and credentials. So you have to really give them a step by step of what, and also a budget, because they're very budget oriented. Like, this is the budget. If you want to invest in yourself, this is the process and this is the outcome, so then that way they feel they're being valued as a blueprint. And then when we have our action client, they need to feel the results within the first 2 seconds. So we make sure to give those results that they're seeking right away, because the longer you take, the more they're ready to jump off the bed and take off. And so that's the action client. And then our nurturing client is just opening that space for them to be able to vent and share and just really get it out there and just be in a very nurturing way, respond in a nurturing way for them, because that's what they need. They need to be heard, and they need to, they need to hear the answer to their questions. And so you got to be very, nurturing in their aspect, in their personality. And then the knowledge client is our client that I usually stay quiet at first, because a knowledge client is there. They've done their research. They've looked you up. They had heard you're the best thing in the world, but they need to make sure. So if you come at them right away, they're going to close off because they know best. A knowledge person knows best. And so you don't want to come at a knowledge person. What you want to do is respect their perspective of how they're viewing you at that moment. It's okay. And then let them ask the questions, and just be prepared to answer them in a very knowledgeable way. So then they could get at an ease of saying, okay, I did come to the right place. So I always, with a knowledge person, I always stay quiet at first and let them ask first before I say anything. So, and that has helped us tremendously with our clients, where they feel that they're being heard, we are communicating with them, and they're getting the results that they need. And that's what that's about. So,
Love it.
Like
I
we're
use-
at the top of the hour. So just respect of time for those who have to go. You could go. We might spend a couple more minutes as we wrap it up. And yes, CC, share. What is it that you wanted to share?
Oh, I was just going to say that I use those cards. I'm also connected with bank, and I use those cards with every client that I see, including my psychic clients. And so I just ask them to arrange it, and everybody wants to know about themselves.
yes.
And I found that this tool, and I'm so glad that you guys are involved, that this tool really helps people understand themselves better.
Mhm.
And when we use it with clients, we understand our clients better.
Yeah.
That's the way it's designed. You can use it for kids as young as 3 years old.
Love it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No, and you're right. It helps them understand, because when they put them in order, the first card is who you are. The second card is who you strive to be. The third card comes out when you're stressed. And the last one only comes out when it benefits you. So when you explain that to your clients, like, oh, okay, you know, it's obvious you're right now, you're on that stress card, you know, and the understanding that helps us also. Yeah, you know, maybe they're nurturing, but they're at stress code right now. Maybe it's a K. So they don't need to be nurtured at the moment. They need the information because they're stressed. So knowing where they're at in the placement of their cards is also very helpful to give them the results that they need. So that's another part of that tool that I really like.
Yeah. I mean, you're so right about that, that when I'm stressed, I'm a blueprint in the third card. And I need to know how are we going to do this? What's the first step? What's next? What's next? You know, how is it going to look? What route are we taking? You know, so it's all that blueprint structure and system stuff.
Yeah, for me, when I'm stressed, I go into action. So I need to see something like done now.
Uh, it's awesome. It's awesome. And it
Rebecca,
just,
you want to share one last story about how we used it for Luna or your child, and just really engage the family?
Oh yeah. So I'm high K first, and then nurturing second. I strive to be nurturing. When I'm stressed, I go into action, and only when it benefits me, I'm blueprint. Well, my daughter is blueprint first. So I'm the opposite. She's forward, and so that tends to clash. But ever since, you know, with COVID and homeschooling, I decided to homeschool. I knew that the only way she would be able to function is as long as I stay within that BA. She's very blueprint, but she strives to be action. So when I'm homeschooling her, I have to make sure to give her structure. She knows exactly what book we're doing first, second, third, fourth, and we have a specific order. But then at the same time, I have to make sure to give her a full hour break, so she has her action freedom to be able to do whatever she wants to do in an hour. I can't do short breaks because that's just not enough. An action person needs to feel some freedom. So I need to give her structure and freedom in a very organized way. And then only when she's stressed is when she goes into nurturing, which is, she's not really the touchy. She just needs that specific nurturing, which is massage my foot. And it's one specific foot and one specific spot. You can tell she's a blueprint, but it's that one spot. And as long as you hit that spot, she's fine. Her nurturing is met.
It's great.
And then only when it benefits her, she's high K, and that's when she asks all the questions. Why this? Why that? Why? But only when it benefits her. So which is really interesting. So yes, thank you for letting me share that. But that has helped me a lot during this time homeschooling.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful information.
Yes. Okay. So we at our 10:04. Thank you everyone for joining us. Make sure to join us tomorrow. We will be discussing day 2, which is, I believe is detaching, how to detach from attachments. And that's very important. We're going to emphasize more on that tomorrow. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. Like I said, each day we're covering a topic and giving specific tools that you can do to help you in each of these topics. And so that way you could, as a sensitive empath, you could develop this protection, this balance, and you don't walk out of your home. You could walk out of your homes. That was one thing I noticed that some people posted. Yes, this is why I avoid grocery stores. This is why I don't like living in apartments. But you can't avoid everything. So the purpose of this course is learning how to merge in, like merging into the freeway, learning how to merge in and go with the flow without letting it affect you so harshly.
Mhm.
So yes, it's
Yeah.
important. It's important to learn that because you cannot hide from the world either.
That's so true.
Yes. Okay. So thank you, Cece. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here today. Thank you.
Yes. And make sure to post about the courses.
I will. Thank you. So grateful for that.
Thank you.
Everyone, remember to stay healthy and breathe intentionally.
Yeah.